Wait a minute, Drifts and Lifts. You're telling me you've owned how many Volvo 740s? 69? Are you joking me? What's up, guys? It's Drifts and Lifts here. All right, so today's episode, I don't have any gravy to pour on you guys, but I do have a new gravy making utensil to show you guys. So this episode is going to be showing off my new 740 and also going over a couple updates and things to do with the Drifts and Lifts channel. If you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you'll know the panel wagon here. So I've owned the panel wagon for a while now. It's been a great car to me, and it's got some pretty good mods in it now. It's a pretty good performing car. It needs a bit of repair right now, but you know, it's a pretty good unit. Now, the only problem with this car is it is incredibly rusty. So it's got rust everywhere. It's got rust on the firewall, many holes in the floorboards. It's got rust in the spare tire well in the back there. So more or less, this car is going to need a new shell one day. I'm not done with the shell just yet. Like, this car still has life in it. I'm still going to be doing drift events and putting it through the ringer. But I figured the Volvo market these days is looking pretty ugly. So I've been looking for the last kind of, 6 months or so for a clean wagon shell that I could eventually take all the panel wagon parts and put them into. So I don't know what it is with the hyperinflation, the whole pandemic and that kind of thing. But it seems used car prices and the used market in general is just crazy right now. So I've been looking around, and the best I could really find for a long time was like an NA Auto 740 for like $3,000, which is crazy. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I picked these things up in the past for really cheap, $500, $400, $300, $700, whatever. So I was really stoked to finally have found something that is reasonable priced and rust free. So what I did, guys, is I made an ad on Craigslist, actually, and it was a wanted ad that was basically looking for a 740 turbo wagon. Actually, I didn't even post that it needed to be turbo. I just said I wanted an 80s 740 wagon. So I posted that ad and I waited a few weeks, and about 2 weeks from when I posted that ad, I got a call in the morning from some old guy named George, really nice guy, and he called me up and he said, "Hey, I saw your ad on Craigslist and I have just what you're looking for." So I was pretty excited, He said you're able to come out and look at the car. And the cool thing was the car wasn't actually up for sale yet. So no one else got, a chance to buy the car. No one else got a chance to look at the car. So I got the first dibs on this car. So he said, come look at the car and we'll talk about price and that kind of thing after. He mentioned that it had a little bit of front end damage, but it wasn't too bad, nothing frame related or anything like that. So I drove out in the trusty old 940 with my roommate Oliver, and we went and checked out this wagon. So I ended up getting the guy down to $700, guys. So I'll let you know what I got it for, $700, and I think that was a pretty fair deal. So as far as, Volvos in, well, if you guys aren't aware, I'm from British Columbia, Canada. So we do have a pretty good Volvo market over here. They did sell a lot of these cars back in the day. But like I said earlier in the video, they're getting tougher to find for good prices. And, I may be to blame partially for that because I have decreased the supply and increased the demand. But anyways, so this car, I ended up taking it home for $700, and I'm pretty stoked on it because it's going to be the perfect shell to eventually put all the panel wagon parts in. I'm not going to be scrapping this car yet. Like I'm still going to put the panel wagon back together with the new turbocharger and transmission. And we're still going to be drifting this thing for at least a season or two. But the way things are looking, I figured I'd better get a clean shell before it's too late and everybody wants like $4,000 for a nice 740 wagon. So let's take a look at this thing, guys. So it's a 1989. It is all black. It's black on black. So it's an automatic transmission, turbocharged wagon. So pretty good shape. Well, it's reasonable shape, honestly. It's a lot better than the panel wagon, and that's all I really wanted, was something that was fairly rust free that I could kind of build off of. So as far as kilometers go, the thing's got the usual. It's got 328,000 kilometers, so not too bad. The dash has a little crack in it. The seats aren't in the greatest shape, and George actually, he let this car sit out for a while. This was sitting out in his yard for like 2 years, I think. George, the guy who I bought this off of, was 80 years old, or 82 or 3, something like that. And he said this is the best car that any manufacturer has ever made. And in fact, he crashed this one and he kind of got over it. He didn't want to fix it, so he just bought himself another one. So he got a 1990 red, super clean wagon. So George is 82, so he said this will be the last car that he buys, that red wagon. So if we go around here, guys, so the damage to the car was basically just in this section right here. And it looks like it's going to need a new fender, a new hood. Oh, I could probably get away with just running this hood. It's not a huge deal. I could just spray some black on it. And the headlight. So the headlight was kind of, you know, got a little bit damaged, got kind of bent. I think a little bit of the body where the fender mounts is bent, but once I take that off, it shouldn't be too hard to straighten it out. Should be able to make everything look pretty much good as new. So if we go around to this side, guys, it's a pretty straight car. So this thing, it's not a rebuilt title. It's all, you know, it's all straight. It's never been in an accident other than that one. So the headlight's in good shape on this side. The bumper, the fender, everything on this side of the car is actually pretty good shape. I just took it to the wash today, actually, just put insurance on it. And once I shined it up a little bit, I did notice a couple more dents than I saw before. This thing was covered in like moss and mildew. So a couple little dents, but nothing really too bad, honestly. The black paint is honestly in decent shape. It's not too bad. I think if I give it a really good polish and a wax, it should actually come out really nicely, and I shouldn't really have to, you know, respray the car ever until way down the road if I want to. But respraying cars is a lot of money that I could be putting into performance upgrades, which is kind of what I'm aiming for. So yeah, even the paint on like the back hatch is really nice. The 740 turbo still got the 740 turbo badges. Let's hop in here. Even the trunk shocks work, which on the panel wagon they did not. So I don't know, nothing really to say in here, guys. The headliner is disgusting, as almost every 80s 740 is. It's got the only rust this car has is one little spot in the wheel well here, just under. Oh, we got more rust, guys. Oh no. Oh man, I didn't even notice that before. Okay, so this car is a little more rusty than I thought, but it's not even close to as bad as the panel wagon, and I'm okay with fixing this. This isn't too bad. So it's got one little hole here and one little hole underneath there. I did crawl under the car and I checked everywhere else, and I could not find any holes in the body, in the bottom, in the floor, anywhere. So it seems like that is our only two issues there and there. So the reason I was trying to avoid doing, obviously the panel wagon has way too much rust to ever really bring back and make a clean car again. But this car with the two small little rust spots, I think I'll be able to bring her back to pretty much restored shape. So let's check out the passenger interior here. So it's kind of funny, these door cards here. I think that's actually from like a GLE model, but they always end up turning like green. I think they start out as like a blue or gray, but they end up turning green. But yeah, so pretty, you know, it's a pretty standard interior, nothing really to it. It was pretty dirty. Like this car sat for a long time, and there's a wasp nest in the car, guys. So there's a wasp nest. You can tell how long this car sat in a yard, because if it has wasp nests in the car, yeah, it's probably been sitting there a while. So let's pop open the hood, show you guys what's here. All right, so there we have a 1989 B230 FT Volvo engine. So this one actually runs pretty good. I'll start it up in a little while here for you guys. George said that actually there's a little bit more rust that I forgot about, guys, and that is in the battery tray. That's almost expected at this point, because almost every single 80s 740 that I pick up has rust in the battery tray. Whatever, I'm not really gonna worry about it. So this car has the TD05 12B turbo. So this one, if you're comparing it to like the turbo from a factory 940, this one would have a bigger exhaust wheel and a bit smaller of a compressor wheel. Honestly, from my observations, this turbo hits a little bit harder. It takes a little longer to spool, but because it has that bigger exhaust wheel, the exhaust flow can flow nicer up in the top end and the high RPMs. So these engines with this turbo seem to pull a little bit better, in my opinion, than the newer ones do. But really not much of a difference. It's still just a crappy stock turbo anyways. So another thing actually, guys, if you're one of those people that put a cone filter on your 740 turbo, just know that you're actually doing a performance decrease modification, because the factory Volvo airbox, as long as you strip all the factory airbox thermostat stuff out, the factory airbox pulls air from the fender well, which is going to be cold air. When you put a cone filter here, you're literally intaking hot air from the engine. So it's funny, I was running a cone filter on the 940 right around here, and I put a stock airbox back in so I could hook it up to, you know, cold air again from the fender well. And honestly, it made like a seat of the pants difference in how fast this car was, because, you know, like a 10 degrees Celsius difference in intake temps can make as much as 20 horsepower. It does make a pretty big difference. So you guys definitely don't want to, I don't know, the air filter thing is cool. It maybe makes a little bit more choo-choo noises, but you're definitely intaking hot air and you're not getting the performance you should. So yeah, this car has had nothing done to it. It's bone stock pretty much, and it even has the AC compressor still in there. And actually that AC belt is a little bit thicker than like the alternator belts, and that AC belt works perfectly for the size of the smaller pulley I have on the panel wagon. So yeah guys, so plans with this car, it's just gonna kind of sit around for a while. I'm still gonna be messing with the panel wagon. I feel like it would be almost a shame to like part this car out and then put them all in here and then keep drifting, and then this one will eventually get damaged. So I think I'm gonna really use the panel wagon's body for what it is. It's a drift car. Just a couple things I want to mention about the panel wagon. So if you guys watched the competition video, if you haven't watched that video, definitely go check it out. It's an epic video. We fought hard and we didn't bring home the W, but we got quite close. But if you get, like I said, if you guys watch that video, you'll know that I blew up the turbocharger on the panel wagon, and I also blew up the transmission. So third gear on the M46 transmission, let go. It is no longer with us. And the turbo also started grinding the compressor wheel on the compressor housing. So I did a little bit of research, guys. I took the turbo off and I sent it to my buddy who actually rebuilds turbos for a living. And he informed me that my oiling setup was not optimal. So if you guys notice, this car was running a whole set HE341 turbo. So obviously it's with my buddy, he's still rebuilding it right now. And I was running a -10 drain line, so right here. So I was just using like an AN fitting, and that threads onto my drain line. But apparently whole sets need a -12 or a -14, or as big as possible. So having this oil, this factory oil line, and this -10 was actually giving the turbo too much oil. So what I need to do, because I don't want to run a bigger drain line, because then I would have to like re-weld a different fitting into the block and that kind of thing. What I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna replace this factory hard line with a braided line, and then I'm gonna run a medium-sized oil restrictor into the input of the turbo, and that should completely help me. I know that you're not supposed to run a restrictor on a journal bearing turbo, but I will say I had a journal bearing Garrett one time, and I ran the tiniest restrictor on it, not even knowing that I wasn't supposed to. And that turbo is still on Goldie, which is going strong with the same turbo, no rebuilds, about 6 years down the road. So what that says to me is that some journal bearing turbos don't mind a little bit of a restrictor, and I think this is going to be completely fine. I've read on the forums that, guys, if you're running a -10 drain line on a whole set, you should be running a restrictor on it. So that's what I'm going to be doing, guys. So hopefully we'll get the turbo back from the shop pretty soon, and we'll slap it back on, and we're going to install that oil restrictor. As far as the transmission goes, guys, so here's actually something I wanted to talk about for all my Swedish viewers. So I think it's time, guys, to put a good transmission in this car. So it's been a long time. I've been, you know, messing with these M46 transmissions for a while. And I think after blowing this one up, I think I'm done with the stupid stock Volvo transmissions, and it's time to upgrade. So I have a little bit of money kicking around, and I would like to spend it on a BMW ZF transmission that can bolt directly into this. So if you, my Swedish followers, know a custom tuning shop in Sweden, I know there is some, but I don't know the names of them, that actually specialize in welding M46, M47 Volvo bell housings to the ZF transmission, and basically making a full adapter bolt-in kit for putting a BMW ZF transmission in a Volvo 740. If you guys know any shops that specialize in that, let me know who they are and send them my way, and maybe we could do some sort of sponsorship thing, or if they could just send me the whole thing and I'll pay whatever it costs. You know, the transmission, the clutch, the shifter, everything we need to bolt into a 740. If you guys know a company that does that, let me know, or in the comments, or let them know that I'm looking for such things. And yeah, we need to go for there. So I would like to get this car ready for the drift competition in September. Hopefully we can pull that off. So the motor makes plenty of power. I'm not too concerned with the motor setup right now. What I need to do is put a good transmission in this car. So yeah, let me know, guys, if you know anybody that could help me out. So I think I'll leave you there for today, guys. I apologize that there's no Volvo gravy being spilled right now, but lots of stuff to come, guys. And honestly, I think our beloved Harold is gonna go to a buddy of mine. So I think to free up a bit of funding for a new transmission swap in the panel wagon, I'm gonna be selling Harold to a friend. So I know this is a very good car. It's super tried and true, and I've done a lot of work on it to make it really solid. But I got too many Volvos, as you guys can see, kicking around, and one has to go. So there will be more beater cars that I can make eventually, but this car is more important, and so is this car right here. As well as my NA car. You know, I've been saying this for way too long now. This is actually the 2.5 stroker crank from the Penta motor, sitting in this bubble wrap right here. So I actually scrapped that block because that was sitting in here, kind of taking up room. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get to the NA build, hopefully soon, but honestly, it's so hard juggling like 3 projects at once. It's, you know, I thought I had the panel wagon good, and then the transmission and the, you know, if the panel wagon didn't blow up the transmission and the turbo, I probably could have started moving funds towards building the NA motor. But now the panel wagon is just sitting in here, and I kind of have to fix it before I move on to the next thing. So, we're gonna be stuck here for a little while doing the turbo and figuring out a transmission setup for this car. But as far as the merchandise goes on my channel, guys, I wanted to mention that before I end the video. So Teespring kind of completely screwed me over. They allowed me to sell all my Volvo Drift shirts for like 3 years, and then all of a sudden they decided that all my shirts and stuff were against their copyright something or other. So because it says Volvo on it, I guess they are not allowed to sell it because there's some trademark issues or whatever. So really lame, because, you know, merchandise was definitely a chunk of the income for the channel. So what I'm gonna have to do, guys, is bear with me. I know you guys that have been waiting for merchandise, you're probably like, hurry up, Drifts and Lifts, when are we gonna get some shirts? And I apologize, but just bear with me, because what I'm gonna be doing is making a whole new website, and then I'm going to be buying all my own shirts and getting them made like in-house, and then I'm gonna be shipping them out as like a separate thing. So it'll be all mine. There will be no middleman. I'll be making more profit off the shirts, which will be good. And yeah, and then you guys will most likely get a bit better of a t-shirt quality. I'll make sure we get those all good, a good fitting shirt. I didn't mind the Teespring quality, like it was pretty good, but yeah, we're gonna have to do things a whole different way because Teespring won't let me sell Volvo gravy stuff anymore. So I don't know what the deal with that is. It's pretty lame, but you know, it's time to move on from having a middleman. We got to be doing stuff ourselves anyways. So yeah, that's kind of what we're gonna be doing. So anyways, guys, I will leave you there. That's pretty much it for today. Like and subscribe for juicy Volvo steak. Peace out.